Mr. John, this just came in.
Reading the document handed to me by my secretary, Mary, my eyes widened in shock. Yes, it was a notice for an emergency shareholders meeting to discuss my dismissal. Noticing Mary's concerned gaze, I silently passed her the paper.
What? Are they firing the CEO?
Even the always composed Mary let out a gasp. She seemed to be in the dark as well. Anyhow, we'll find out at the shareholders meeting. I tried to stay calm, gripping my fist tightly. Usually, I preside over these meetings, but this time, it's being chaired by Mike, the coup. This fact made me uneasy. Mike and I were college buddies, and we started this company together. I've been leading the charge as the CEO while Mike, as the coup, has been my right-hand man, and together we've grown the company. However, in the past few years, Mike's overbearing actions and attempts to privatize the company became increasingly apparent, and I had been keeping an eye on him.
The reason for convening this emergency shareholders meeting is due to growing concerns regarding the managerial capabilities of our CEO, Mr. John Patterson.
Mike began his speech fluently. The main reason they cited for my removal as CEO was my diagnosis of prostate cancer last year. They claimed that during my hospitalization, I neglected my duties, failed to communicate, causing confusion and a significant blow to our employees, leading to a steep decline in the company's performance. Furthermore, there's a chance my cancer could recur, making it uncertain when the company might face such a crisis again. The consensus was that they needed to remove me from my company immediately and have a new CEO to turn things around. That's a preposterous accusation. I immediately retorted. During hospitalization, I was in touch with Mike almost daily. Mike had told me not to worry and take it easy, assuring me that everything at the company was fine. However, Mike coolly stated, I never received any communication from Mr. John during his hospitalization. No matter how many times we reached out, we never got a response. I was stunned by his blatant lie. This sudden betrayal was bewildering. I thought of pulling up the email history, but now I remember. About a month ago, we were informed of a virus in the company's IT system. As I had ordered its repair, all the internal emails were deleted. Without a doubt, this was all part of Mike's plan.
Wait a minute. I exchanged emails with Mr. John daily, discussing work reports and consultations. All our exchanges are still on my phone.
Mary shouted out. The communication with Mike was through the internal email, but my exchanges with Mary were on company-owned cell phones, so they weren't deleted. But Mike had another reason up his sleeve. It was the possibility that my cancer might come back, and I'd need to be hospitalized. Prostate cancer has a high survival rate and can be cured completely. In fact, I'm totally recovered and have no other health issues. I explained my condition, but after the vote, it was decided I'd be removed as CEO. Looking around the board members, a few wouldn't meet my eyes and looked down.
Mary, I hope you'll support the new CEO from now on.
At Mike's words, Mary's eyes flared up.
I am Mr. John's secretary. If it means following you, I'd rather quit.
Following that, a few board members stood up, saying they'd follow me. I was deeply touched by their loyalty, but I couldn't let them lose their jobs over a fleeting emotion. After the shareholders meeting, I desperately convinced them to stay with the company. The board members, looking both frustrated and guilty, decided to stay, thinking about their families. But Mary and my trusted team members, Jake and Ethan, were determined. They left the company, resigning on their own terms.
We'll be preparing for the day you start a new venture. When that time comes, please call us back.
Mary said, to which I nodded in agreement. I sold my downtown apartment and luxury car and began a frugal life in a small flat. While seeking funds to start a new venture, I also began working part-time at a nearby coffee shop. I thought I was too old and worried about being hired, but they valued my experience from college days when I worked at a cafe. That coffee shop was a gathering place for those thinking of starting a business or those struggling with their new ventures. In other words, it was a study group. In a quiet coffee shop, I could easily hear their passionate conversation even as I worked. It inspired me greatly, making me feel like I needed to step up my game. The morning group members changed from day to day, but one woman who frequently participated caught my attention. Her name was Kate, and she runs a free tutoring center targeting kids from low-income families.
I want to offer kids the kind of experience I had at the tutoring center I went to, letting them see the fun and excitement of learning.
The sparkle in her eyes as she spoke was quite memorable. However, it seemed her tutoring business was facing challenges. She relied on volunteer students as tutors, but sometimes they'd call in last minute with other commitments, leaving her in a bind. The cost of renting a space was high, and donations alone weren't covering the expenses. She had been using textbooks and workbooks donated by students and parents, but they were often outdated or had other issues. Each time I overheard such concerns, a growing desire built within me to help. Excuse me for approaching you out of the blue, but could you tell me more about your project? As the morning group session ended and attendees began to leave, I gathered my courage and approached Kate. She looked quite taken aback, but finally said, "All right," and took a seat again. After getting a deeper understanding of the challenges her tutoring center faced, I made a proposal. "Why don't you hire me? I believe I can be of help. I'll work for free until things look up for the business." Kate looked at me in surprise, asking, "Really?" But perhaps she was desperate for any lifeline. She agreed to have me work with her. First, I suggested she turn her business into a nonprofit organization. This would provide tax benefits and make her eligible for grants and other financial aids. Not only that, but if all goes well, it's possible to partner with public agencies and businesses. Next, we changed the free lesson system for our students. Instead of attending for free, we introduced a give-and-take system. They help younger kids with their studies, or if they're not good at studying, they can teach other skills. Kids who don't have much time help with cleaning. This way, students not only receive but also give, gaining confidence. The classroom atmosphere feels better than before. The biggest change was transitioning teachers from volunteering to paid positions. Relying on volunteers can be tricky. Some teachers start with high motivation, but as time goes on, they start to slack off thinking they won't get paid anyway and end up taking breaks. At the end of the day, money talks. After starting to give salaries, teachers stopped canceling on short notice, and they became even more dedicated to their classes. We provide the latest textbooks and workbooks. Otherwise, we can't keep up with school curriculums, and it puts us at a disadvantage for entering university. I visited the City Hall multiple times, explaining the purpose of our tutoring center and requesting grants. It took a while to get the grant approval, but from there, our network expanded, and we found supporting businesses. Many reviews caused our student numbers to skyrocket, and our efforts began attracting media attention. Kate was featured in TV and magazine interviews, and even online news highlighted her. As a result, the number of students wanting to join exploded. By this time, I was receiving a decent salary from Kate. There was a request to expand our classroom, but the two of us alone couldn't handle the operations. I was approached by Kate about hiring more staff, and I confidently responded, "If that's the case, I know some excellent people." Upon my invitation, Mary, Kyle, and Ethan quickly joined us.
We've been waiting for this moment. Please, let us help.
Their passionate words left Kate stunned.
Just who are you?
Then I revealed my past for the first time. I once ran a tutoring center myself. It became successful and expanded nationwide, and I even started publishing textbooks and workbooks. However, I was betrayed by my co-partner, was removed as the CEO, and was forced out. Kate's center is nonprofit, so there's no risk of being targeted by the company I used to work for. Plus, with my experience, I believed I could help. Kate, still spurist, hesitantly asked,
The tutoring center you ran. It's the same one that provided the textbooks you gave us, right?
"Yes, that's right." Suddenly, Kate's eyes widened even further.
Oh my. I attended your center. You taught me the joy and fun of studying. I can't believe I've been working with the man who founded it.
She was blushing with excitement. I felt both embarrassed and pleased. Let's all work together to reach out to kids nationwide who can't afford tutoring. Mary took on tasks like scheduling, setting up appointments with the city and supporting companies, and handling the media. Thanks to the help, my workload decreased significantly, allowing me to focus on my primary tasks. Kyle went out to research areas with a high concentration of low-income families for potential new tutoring center location. Ethan visited the centers to support the teachers and also took on the responsibility of liaising with parents. This is how Kate's tutoring center steadily gained a reputation. Then, one day, we received a partnership offer from a particular company. Yes, it was my company that Mike had taken over. Only Kate was making media appearances, and I had asked to keep my name out of it, so Mike wasn't aware I was involved with this company. Mary looked up.
Mike, we're all set.
I nodded in acknowledgement. On the day of the meeting, looking up at the familiar building, I felt a rush of adrenaline. As I entered the lobby, murmurs rippled through the crowd.
Mr. John.
I smiled at the surprised receptionist and informed her of Kate's visit. She could have used my name, but she refrained and led the way.
Former Vice President Mike is waiting for you in the CEO's office.
I nodded slightly and stepped into the elevator. Reaching the top floor, the awaiting secretary stepped back in surprise.
Sophia, it's been a while.
When Mary, who used to be secretary pals with her, smiled at her, Sophia turned pale and led us to the CEO's office.
Mr. Mike, you have visitors.
Sophia didn't mention we were with her. It seems that even the secretary isn't on Mike's side.
Well, thank you for taking the time to.
Mike's cheerful expression froze as he saw me. That's a polite greeting. Thank you. His voice grew louder the moment he saw my face.
Why the hell are you here?
Kate stepped forward.
Mike has been working with us as a consultant. We came to decline your offer. We have no intention of letting you take over our company.
Mary backed her up.
We've already found out that while you mentioned a partnership, you intended to exploit our name and our status as a nonprofit to sweeten the deal for yourself.
Kyle and Ethan continued.
That's not all. Even after Mike was ousted, we kept in touch with the executives and staff and conducted our own investigation.
Mike, you embezzled funds intended for expanding the tutoring centers, used them to pay off gambling debts from casinos, and held a shareholders meeting out of fear of Mike finding out, didn't you?
Mike turned ghostly pale.
Gray, where do you have such evidence?
Responding to his question, Mary held up the evidence, and Mike fell to his knees. After that, the IRS initiated an audit, and in collaboration with the police, Mike was arrested for embezzlement. Naturally, the CEO was fired. Not just that, the board members who had taken money from Mike were also let go. Later, although it might seem too late after all the betrayal, could you please come back? Our company has no one but Mr. John to rely on. Former employees came to me, pleading. Among them were board members who said they would follow me. I had no intention of returning to that company. But Mary, Kyle, and Ethan strongly wanted me to come back. Kate also asked me, please support the Academy of My Memories. I really appreciate it. I returned as the CEO, and Mary rejoined me as my secretary. I asked Kyle and Ethan to liaise with Kate's company. We once again partnered with Kate's company and provided our published reference books and workbooks for free and shared our teaching know-how. We were afraid of complaints from the parents who are paying high tuition fees, but since we are not sending instructors and we have a completely different system, they actually welcomed us warmly.
I don't know how to thank you, John. I really appreciate it.
Kate thanked me, and I quickly bowed in gratitude. I should be thanking you for giving me another chance. Also, Mary, Kyle, Ethan, thank you for believing, waiting, and supporting me. Tears welled up in Mary's eyes.
We could wait for you like this because besides the severance pay, you paid us a year's salary. Thanks to that, we could investigate the company internally and prepare to return immediately when needed.
Kyle and Ethan nodded in agreement. I'm blessed to have such good subordinates.
John, I look forward to our continued partnership.
I responded to Kate with a smile. Same here, looking forward to it. Though we cater to different students, our shared passion is to convey the joy and fun of studying. We want to continue providing an education that expands future children's horizons and encourages them never to give up.